Hi, I'm Scoot, and welcome to the Scoot on the Air YouTube channel. I want to welcome those of you who are brand new subscribers. And if you're just tuning in and you haven't subscribed, it's free. And if you do subscribe, we give you a notice every time we post something. So thank you for being with us here on the Scoot on the Air YouTube channel. I've avoided talking about really serious, heavy politics for a while now. And I really didn't think it was going to get into a political discussion today on my radio show on WWL New Orleans. But when I brought up Russia invading Ukraine, it turned into a political bloodbath. All right. So, according to a Pew Research Center poll back in January, Republicans and Democrats were pretty evenly split on Ukraine and Russia. According to the poll, Republicans and Republican leading independents, nearly 50% saw Russia as a competitor. 39% saw Russia as an enemy. Among Democrats and Democrat leaning independents, about 50% saw Russia as a competitor and 43% saw Russia as an enemy. It is unprecedented that in these times, Republicans and Democrats agree that much. But something interesting really happened today on the show. I started hearing from Americans who support Putin. I started hearing about some of the conservative hosts and talking heads that support Putin. Now, it's interesting because Tucker Carlson has on Fox News has for a long time, you know, seemed to support Russia. Okay, Russia invaded a sovereign nation. How could any American be for that? Now, I know when it comes to any conflict, any war, Americans can be divided. But how can you be for that? How can you support that? I think there's an answer to that. Steve Bannon, uh, Glenn Greenwald, Molly Hemingway, and a few others are kind of supporting Russia in this. Although I was watching Fox News earlier tonight, and it seems like Tucker Carlson was kind of backing off of that. Now, okay, see, this is typical of what happens. They are interested in not telling you what they really feel or the truth. They're interested in getting your attention. They're interested in feeding the audience. And conservative syndicated, nationally syndicated talk show host Hugh Hewitt admitted that he's not telling all the truth and all that he feels about January 6th because he says the audience doesn't want it. So the audience, and I did a video here on the channel about who controls the media. It's you. You dictate what the media covers. And if you're CNN or MSNBC, they're feeding a liberal audience. If it's the Fox News Channel or Newsmax, they're feeding a conservative audience. They're not telling you what you need to hear. They're telling you what they think you want to hear. And so it's going to be really interesting to see if some of this right-wing rhetoric is going to cause people to turn their opinions against the U.S. and toward Russia, against the U.S., not against the U.S., against Biden. But since Biden is the head of the U.S., the president of the United States, then yes, they're against U.S. support for Ukraine. So they're for Putin overtaking a sovereign nation. I don't get it because, it all seems like it's just such bullshit. And these people who are so partisan that they would support Putin in a situation like Putin is a fucking madman. And Putin's not going to stop with Ukraine. He'll move on from there. Look, it's a complicated issue. It really is. A lot of factors come into play here. But what I saw on my radio show today was that you see the worst side of people. People are ugly. And I'm seeing the ugliest side of people when we get in these discussions. It's just it's bullshit. And then I've got these like trolls, whether it's on social media or sending me an email or a text, and they're trying to call me out on things that don't even make sense. It's like some Americans are so on edge that they're just looking for a reason to criticize, to bash, or to condemn. Like one listener sent me an email today criticizing me for I brought up Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard was a Democrat who ran for president. She is about as conservative as you can get for a Democrat. She's speaking at CPAP. I'm sorry, CPAC. She's speaking at this Republican conference. I mentioned her because she is one of the ones that seems to be not supporting the US support for Ukraine. So I bring up Tulsi Gabbard's name, and some listener sends me an email. Well, what you failed to mention was that Hillary Clinton is trying to groom Gabbard for a third party run. Well, first of all, I didn't know that. And that's not even part of the story. We're not even in an election year. Well, we are technically in an election year because the election is coming up this fall, but we're not in a presidential election year. So this is not even a topic. And I love when listeners want to, you know, try to get to me by telling me I'm biased because I don't talk about something that's not even a topic right now. There's a lot of shit I don't talk about because it's not a topic right now. Hillary Clinton lost the election. She's not a topic. If she really is grooming Tulsi Gabbard for a third party run, we'll talk about that when the time is right. But it's like people are trying to catch me being biased. You're damn right I'm biased. I'm biased against stupidity. I'm biased against trolls. I'm biased against this mentality of I gotta catch somebody doing something wrong. I gotta just wait. I'm sitting there waiting. I'm sitting there waiting for him to say something wrong, and I'm gonna nail him. What is that about? Is your life that empty that you're looking to like bash somebody in the media? I mean, it's okay if you do it. I've been in this business a long time, and I don't let it bother me. But it's bothersome that this is the mentality of some Americans. Anyway, the U.S. should support Ukraine, but what the hell can they do? Is Biden a strong international leader? I don't think so. I don't. And by the way, I'm very honest about my bias on the air and here on social media. Yeah, you damn right I'm biased. It's not a secret. I'm very conservative on some issues, very liberal on other issues. I'm a radical moderate. That's the best way I can describe myself. I don't give a shit about party lines. I give a damn about the issue. And on some issues, I'm conservative. On some, I'm liberal. And most of you are that way. Most Americans are not far right or far left. And yet the far right and the far left thinks the world is defined by us. Bullshit. You're a fringe group and you do not determine the outcome of elections. We do. We have the power. And through social media and through my radio show, I'm trying to give people permission to freaking speak out when it comes to being a radical moderate, being an independent. And, you don't have to describe yourself as a radical moderate, but, there's nothing wrong with being a moderate. Being a moderate means you don't put up with the bullshit of the right or the left. Being a moderate does not mean you don't have a damn opinion. I've got opinions. You've got opinions. But we're not a member of either political tribe. That's what makes us a moderate. It's not like we're, oh, I don't know what to think about this. I don't know whether to have an opinion or not. Bullshit. I've got opinions. Moderates have opinions. I first thought when I saw Fox News, CNN, and MSNBC last night, all covering wall to wall coverage of the invasion of Ukraine. I thought this shows us that our political divide is not as big as this story. That our political divide is petty and it's bullshit. And what's bigger is Russia invading a sovereign nation, Ukraine. It didn't take long for there to become partisan politics involved in this. It didn't take long for people who hate Joe Biden. It's okay to hate the president of the United States. This is America. You have every right to hate the president. Some people hated Trump. Some people hate Biden. Some people hated Obama. That is okay. But what's not okay is to hate somebody so much that you side with the fucking enemy. Russia and Putin are the fucking enemy. And for baby boomers like myself, all of this shit brings back chills from the Cold War. There are people who are so conservative and so Republican. They hate Biden so much that if Putin is opposed to Biden, if Putin is making Biden look bad, then these people are for Putin, even though he's the fucking enemy. So, what I thought was like this coming together, uniting of America turns into bullshit partisan politics again. So I guess this is not going to change anytime soon. Hey, I'm a talk show host. I do social media. This gives me something to talk about every single day. But I will continue to commit on my radio show, and even here sometimes, I will continue to commit to doing other things other than right versus left politics because it's such bullshit. Because people don't really listen to what I'm saying. They hear what they want to hear. They make shit up. And then they have the nerve to try to call me out on it. Well, I call them out on it. If you're not really listening to the show, then shut your mouth. If you're listening and you want to criticize me on something I actually said, okay. But don't make up shit. Don't pretend that I said something that I didn't really say. This is the mentality of American voters, and it scares the shit out of me. Now, I'm going to continue to dedicate my show to talking a lot about music, a lot about pop culture, a lot about society, and we'll get into politics when we have to. But I hate seeing the ugly side of people who are already ugly, and then I get to see the ugly side of ugly.